Hey everyone, welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. If you are watching this on YouTube, there is no video for this because myself and Tommy G decided to do a crossover pod because we had to talk about Game of Thrones last second. So there's just audio. So, I mean, if you just want to listen to it for any podcast listeners, it's exactly the same as it normally is. For the YouTube listeners, I'm sorry there's no audio for this, but it's two people yelling at each other about Game of Thrones for an hour. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you want to get into a draw for 20 DK bucks, though, there is a way you can do that. Smash the like button for the episode, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section, and tell me who you think will win the Game of Thrones at the end of the season. All right? Enjoy the show.
Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
What up? Let's get weird. It's your boy Tommy G here with my dude Pat. I don't even want to give a big build up to this because I just want to get right fucking into it. But Pat Mayo, the Pat Mayo Experience. This is a No Mercy podcast. Pat Mayo Experience. Conglomeration, joint, fucking mashup, whatever you want to call it. Game of Thrones related. Pat, are you ready?
Oh, I am more than ready. And for any of the No Mercy listeners out there, if they want to go rate, review, and subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience, if they give that a handy 5 stars, leave their DraftKings handle, something nice about this show, like, hey, what a great guest, Tommy G. You can be in a draw for 20 DK bucks. I'm just throwing that out there.
There you go. And if any of the Pat Mayo Experience listeners want to go do the same for the No Mercy podcast, you can get over there, give it 5 stars, give it a review. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet because I wasn't planned for it, but I'll do something really nice for you. Maybe I'll reply to a tweet and send you some dick pics. I don't know.
See, this actually sounds better than the 20 DK bucks. The way I think of it, it takes like a minute to do. You could win 20 DK bucks. I mean, your ROI per second on that is off the charts.
That is a phenomenal ROI here, Pat. Speaking of ROI, I have some big Game of Thrones props out there. So I get into these debates like, I'm a bigger Game of Thrones fan than you. I'm like, I posted it on Instagram. I have a $5,000 bet on Game of Thrones that I found someone to take on Sansa to end up ruling Westeros that I'm a little bit worried about here, Pat. I'm not as much worried that Sansa wins, but I'm worried that if there ends up being no throne or some sort of like democracy that's formed, and if I end up not getting paid on that. So what do you think? Do you have any take on that?
Yeah, it depends on how, like, it's going to be odd to see. Like, they've been kind of going like the episode ends and the next episode starts right when the last one had ended. Like, if we see any extension of time here, I mean, I'm kind of working on it. There's that Baratheon Stark kid who could be sitting on the throne at the end.
I like that too, man. So we're gonna cover everything here. This is going that we just watched. What was the episode called? The Longest Night or the Long Night or something. So this will be the long pod.
Battle of Winterfell, I think it was called.
I think they changed it on HBO now. They changed it to the Long Night or something like that when I saw it. But either way, this is going to be a recap of the last episode, episode 3. We're going to talk about. I got everyone listed here too, Pat. Now that we're 3 episodes in. An idea of who's going to die going forward, how we think the show is going to end. And then I want to talk about some weird shit that just went on here. Some great moments, some weird moments, some fuck ups. So we'll go wherever we want to go with this. But first of all, what was your total thought and review of episode 3?
I loved it. And I don't seem to be in the minority on that. And people are throwing out there, oh, this is, I saw Cuss begging for attention on Twitter. Just be like, this is the worst episode of television of all time. It's like, no, it wasn't. Like, come on. The way that you have to kind of judge these episodes.
Look at it clicks.
Yeah. Like, he has, and the worst thing is, like, when he gets these, like, sensational tweets out there, he actually has nothing to sell or click on. So he's really just doing it for the attention. So I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. My wife and I watched it, and we were just like, there was no piss breaks, there was no nothing. Like, I need to see what happens next. And I have some thoughts on like the production behind it. Like, I know people were complaining that it was too dark, but I kind of know why that was the case, and you couldn't really have it any other way. It sucked that you had to turn up like your contrast to see stuff, but there's twofold: one a production reason, one a storytelling reason behind that. But I thought it was great, to tell you the truth. Like, what did people like? If this was the last episode of the series, then yeah, I could see like everyone dying, but there's still 3 episodes left. That you can't just kill all the characters because there's no fucking show. Like, it seems to me like people have been talking about this or going on Reddit and looking at shit too long, and this happens with a lot of shows, and they've heard exactly like how this ended up unfolding. They saw on some message board, or like it was a common theory among friends, like, they've heard about it before. So then when it happens, like, well, this is stupid. Everyone knew this was going to happen. It's like, what do you want the people to do? You've exhausted every possible theory on this. One of them was bound to be right, and it was, and now you're all pissed off. Like, I asked a few people, like, what did you want to happen in this episode? They're like, well, I don't know, but I hated this. Like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah.
Like, it just sounds like you want to be mad about it.
So I've been getting a little heat on Twitter because I'm an avid, me and you are both Game of Thrones junkies. Like we're in that top 0.01%, right? Where we've seen all the episodes. I've seen every episode like 5 times, right? And we're scouring the internet. We're trying to get as much information as we can to figure out what's going to happen and be, on point with our predictions. I did a whole betting fucking article on it where my subscribers are actually fucking betting hundreds and thousands of dollars on these outcomes. So this is more than just a TV show for me. This is a financial investment. So I came out of this episode. I have been very vocal for the first 3 episodes of this season and a lot of last season about how D&D, the writers, the best analogy just came on Twitter, so I got to give this kid props, and I'm going to use his analogy that he just gave. I want to get his name, so I'm pulling it up now. But he basically articulated exactly what I've been feeling this whole entire time, and I think this is where the kind of disgruntlement comes out. He said it's like an artist who's been tracing other people's work, and this is Proudest Monkey at Amper Satire. He said it's like an artist who's been tracing other people's work and getting recognition for it, and then all of a sudden they run out of traceable material and start sketching on their own. You can see the difference between the traced work and the manual. I could not think of a better analogy. I feel like they were destroying this for the first 5 or 6 seasons because they had George R.R. Martin to work off. And then all of a sudden, when the books ended, they want to go all fucking Me Too movement. Women are everything. Men are weak. Like, fuck the sci-fi. Fuck all that. Let's get back to the soap opera-ish storylines. I thought last season was one of the worst seasons of Game of Thrones, which still makes it a great season compared to other shows, but it was one of the worst Game of Thrones season. I thought the first 2 episodes of this season were like the fucking Guiding Light or Days of Our Lives or something. And then this season, it just seemed like they just wanted to fucking, all right, let's get the sci-fi out so we could get back to doing what we want to do. So that was my frustration, Pat, that the Night King just died too quick. There was too many things. We'll get into it in a minute, but it was a little anticlimactic that we waited fucking 8 to 10 years for this moment of Jon versus the Night King, and he just gets fucking stabbed by a dagger and he's dead. It was just too quick, in my opinion.
Potentially, but I guess the one few things off that, it's actually a pretty good analogy, but the thing that's really kind of hampered the show now is they gave it an end date. The thing with the books is that they're open-ended. You know what I mean? Like, you were able to create all that time and all the best moments of this show, the stuff that people really like besides like the fucking and the tits and everything like that, which is really what drew in a lot of the casuals. That's why my dad watches the show. He's a big fan of just seeing tits on screen, and he's not good at the internet, so he's not like on YouPorn all the time. So this is it for him. But like in the first season, like you have Tyrion and he's hanging out with Bronn and they're walking back to King's Landing and it takes like 3 episodes. Like there was time for all this stuff to gestate. So you get those character moments. This is why you like these characters so much. And now last season and into this season, like there's an end date. There's so much that they have to accomplish. Like,
but why? They're rushing it, Pat. Like it shouldn't be 13 episodes after season 6 ended. Like they rushed it. This should be at the pace that it was going. This should be a 10 to 12 season show. They're rushing the ending.
Because now you're dealing with putting the actors back under contract for that, and they're just like, fuck this. And if you lose one of them...
Oh, like, they're not going to make no money on this fucking show.
But they already made all the money from the show. They're like, I don't want to spend 20 years of my life doing it. I get that part of it. Like, you think that Kit Harington wants to play Jon Snow for 15 years? No, he doesn't.
But don't we then have a right to be upset that they're putting their own personal desires over our show, which we've dedicated 10 years of our life to?
I mean, you can if you want to, but I think if you think pragmatically,
if you think then they are mailing it in.
If you think pragmatically about it, like it's hard to keep up. Like the pace of this, like the actual filming for this is like. It's outrageous, like how much these people are working. They're probably just fucking burnt out from it, to tell you the truth. They've all made their millions off of it. HBO's made its millions off of it. Like it's time to move on to go do something else. So, and this is what you get stuck with. You get
what do we do?
You get accelerated storytelling, and you have to tie up as many loose ends as possible, or you get into a situation like that happened with Lost, where they just didn't tie up the loose ends, and people fucking freak out for the entire thing. And then they hate that show for the rest of the eternity, and then you have something like Breaking Bad, which unfolds optimally for the enjoyment, but like the most obvious stuff that happens in Breaking Bad towards the end. Everyone seemed to like that, though. Like there was no real twist in Breaking Bad. Everything you wanted to see happened, and everyone really enjoyed it. Now with this, like, stuff is unfolding. We still have these 3 episodes left, but I've always been under the contention that like this Night King stuff would get wrapped up pretty quickly, because that was never the focal point of the show. It was just like external threat that they built it up to be like the thing that they were going on, but the whole point of the story was the Iron Throne stuff, the stuff between the characters. That's why killing off so many of the characters that we knew in this episode doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you have the 3 remaining episodes, which are like an hour and a half long. But all the stuff that people actually like about this show is the interplay between the characters. Like the episode 2 of this season, I thought was one of the better episodes of the entire series. It was a great episode.
There was parts of it. If episode 1 didn't exist, then I would agree with you. But to have a second week after making us wait almost 2 fucking years, would they make us wait a year and a half? And then to give us 2 episodes where it's like fucking reunion and all that, that's great. Episode 2 was far better than episode 1. I just felt like those 2 60 or 55-minute episodes could have been 1 hour and a half episode. We could have chewed out about 20, 30 minutes of fat and bang that out in one banging reunion episode, getting us set up for episode 2. I agree with you. I actually enjoy the houses more than I enjoy Living vs. Dead. I'm not a sci-fi nut.
I don't think you're alone on that. I think I don't want to say like most people, but most people who watch the show. And there's a big difference between like the stories in the books and the stories in the show. And TV is TV. Like it has certain tropes that it has to adhere to because it is a TV show. Like even with this episode, like whatever this battle ends up being in the books might not even be filmable for TV based on like how crazy the story is.
I see. That's the thing. That's why I'm kind of on the fence. I like to take strong, bold stands on this, and I am on both sides. So one, I think we have to identify that me and you both agree that they're just kind of over making 8 more seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Right? If George R.R. Martin were in charge and there was enough time and enough budget, there would be 8 more seasons of this. There's enough.
He can't even finish his fucking book.
Right, he can't even finish his own book. Right, exactly. But there should be 7, 8 more seasons. Like we should be, or let's say 3 or 4. We should be 3/4 of the way through it. There's still so many unknowns. What the fuck is Bran's purpose? Like his whole thing with all these storylines about Bran that literally was the worst parts of most of the seasons, going back to season, I think it was 3 or 4 or whatever it is, when they're dragging through the fucking winter. Like these were horrific episodes that were just boring. And it's like, you're assuming, okay, you put me through all that shit to have him be the focal point of how the Night King goes down. Meanwhile, he just serves as crab meat on a hook. He's just fucking bait for the Night King. Didn't do a single fucking thing. Wogged into the air, which we've all been waiting for. Is he going to take over a dragon? Is he the Night King? Is he going to wogue into a dragon? Is he going to... And he just fucking watched. Like, why did he wogue into the fucking Raven? Did he just want a better seat to see what the fuck was going on?
Yeah, I didn't quite get that. So...
it made no sense. There's so many things not tied up.
But we're also judging this with 3 episodes left to go. So this storyline, like the Night King storyline, the White Walker storyline, might not be. I don't know, like what would happen
if they bring them back. I'll actually be more mad.
I don't think that they'll bring them back, but it could turn out that this is all a long con by Bran, and he's really the Night King or something like that, and like that's the reason why
these writers are smart enough, dude. I think these are fucking HBO. Fucking millennial liberal Hollywood. That was a Hollywood ending.
Come on now. Listen, David Benioff.
That was a Hollywood ending yesterday.
It was, but David Benioff has done some really good work. And whether it's, he's had some misfires like writing Troy, but like I really enjoyed the 25th Hour. I wouldn't say that something.
Well, see, I'm so this is where we're different. You're built for this show, right? Like I'm a fucking Neanderthal who ran into this show and fell in love with it. So I don't watch a lot of sci-fi shows. I probably haven't seen a single thing that either of these writers have written prior to this. I don't read books.
You never seen 25th Hour? The Spike Lee movie? Really?
No.
You should.
No, I don't think so.
It's fucking excellent.
Probably. I have CTE, but I don't think so. But so like I don't have the track record that you have to have the confidence in them. I can only go off what I'm seeing now. And I mean the amount of buildup for the Night King. Like if you asked anyone a week ago, who are the 3 most badass characters in the history of evil and television and cinema? The Night King's like in that list for almost everyone, right? And who did the dude kill? He killed Theon, who runs from battles left and right.
He killed a bunch
And
of he killed a bunch of jobbers. It was like watching the Royal Rumble and
and
like,
he got
oh,
killed by a 15-year-old.
yeah,
like
come
on.
I mean, I don't think she's 15. I don't think that HBO would. I mean, I don't think HBO would let that out there.
Who knows?
18.
Yeah, well, she's 22 in real life.
Let's call her 18 in purpose of the show. But yeah, it's like watching the Royal. It's like watching the Royal Rumble, and then all of a sudden there's like 15 guys left in the ring. It's like The Rock, and you got Stone Cold, and Shawn Michaels. But there's also like Too Cold Scorpio and the Bushwhackers left in there. It's like those guys are going out next. Like they just killed all the jobbers that no one really cared about. And the whole thing with the Night King is he's been built up by Jon, and like the show is this existential threat that he's going to come wipe everything out. But maybe it turns out that the humans were the baddest of the bad all along. Like I'm curious to see what's Cersei doing this entire time? She's like taking a bath, like.
Yeah, she's fucking just chilling over there. I mean, the way I wanted to see it go down was White Walkers attack. They do some damage. They fuck some shit up. The Night King's not there, right? Because he wasn't there at the very beginning. He wasn't there in the preview from last episode. So, the living end up winning. And then the Night King, right when you think the battle's over, the Night King fucking pops in, just fucks shit up. And then, the living are ready to die. And then Bran plays an integral part somehow. And maybe Cersei and her people come into attack where everyone's in the same. I just felt like you had the opportunity to make it so that no one bitches. All they needed to do, Pat, was add a 5-minute fight scene between Jon Snow and the Night King. It literally makes everything better because I wanted Arya to kill the Night King. I thought it was going to be with the new fucking weapon that she got made, that they spent an exorbitant amount of time showing and talking about and showing drawings of, that she ended up holding for like 5 minutes or 5 seconds, killed 20 White Walkers with it, and then dropped it. So that seemed weird. She ended up killing him with the dagger that Bran gave, which is a nice throwback tie-in too. But it's like, if you would have at least given us the battle with Jon when they were face-to-face that we've been waiting 8 years for, and just given us 3 minutes, 5 minutes of a battle, have the Night King go down, have Jon about to beat him, and then have the Night King raise the dead and escape, and then Arya kills him, I'm good. But you cannot have those two motherfuckers face-to-face alone, which we've been waiting for fucking 8 years, and then have the Night King pussy out and he basically said, I can't beat you, Jon Snow, and raised all these fucking White Walkers. That was bullshit, dude. You got to give us the 5-minute battle scene between those two.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed the 5-minute battle scene there too, but it didn't.
And it fixes everything. But no one's mad anymore.
But I don't even feel like people are all that mad. I feel like people, by and large, enjoyed it. They just want to nitpick it. But everyone, have you talked to anyone who sat there and be like, "That was just terrible. I can't believe that I watched that."
Maybe cussed.
Maybe cussed. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's him. But like I said, it's just people looking for attention at this point. And
I don't know.
I think we need to go back, and I think it's going to be important to reassess this episode once it's finished. And maybe there's stuff that builds onto this. Maybe the White Walker, the Night King himself, got created by, where Bran can kind of go back through time, go forward in time. Maybe someone will have to sacrifice themselves to become the new Night King to show why he actually exists, because every one of the humans is too fucked up, and you need that as a counterbalance kind of thing. I don't know. It's a tough episode to put into too much perspective because it's just one long fight scene. That's all it really was. And yeah. I thought the throwbacks with Arya were really good. That she got the dagger in. You got the Melisandre part where she repeated the same thing that she said in season 3. Yep. The best part though, the way that she actually killed him is the same move that she was practicing on Brienne, in the season before when they were sparring. She did the drop, grab it with the other hand, and fake the dagger move.
But I thought that move was better, right? Didn't she flip that over her wrist and do it
Well, she also wasn't being held by the throat at the time.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly. But I like that move. I thought it was actually a weaker move than a lot of the moves we've seen her do before. She should have had to pull out her most A-game shit in order to beat him, not just a little drop, stab. The best thing I saw on the internet, by the way, was did you see them do the DMX stop, drop, shut him down, open up shop with that?
Sure did.
That was great. When he grabs my neck, stop. That was awesome.
But the thing that I thought was going to happen was, the best scene in the entire episode was when Arya was going through the library. I just thought that was, and the chase part, that part was legit creepy. That was fantastic.
But you know what I did?
I thought she was going to kill a White Walker at some point and then steal the White Walker's face, and that's how she would get close to them. But I think they're saving that for when she kills Cersei.
They're saving that for sure.
So she couldn't do it twice. That's how the show ends, though, right?
Right. We're both on a thread with I forget who else was the other person on it, but we both made predictions that Arya actually ends up killing Cersei with Jaime's face. That's
Yes.
not, we didn't create that either. That's something that's out there. And I think that's right. And I don't think you can overuse that too many times, right? She already did it to kill Lord Frey, and she's used the faceless man thing before. You can't just keep playing that out, right? So I agree that it shouldn't have been done in this situation. I needed that battle between the two of them, between Jon Snow and the Night King. His whole life and his whole mission was never to get the throne. Like, Jon Snow is the show, right? It's like they basically just turned around and George R.R. Martin had Jon Snow as the show. He's the show. Danny is there, but Jon Snow is the show. And the new writers, who, when they took over, the same writers, but when they took over full control, when there was no traceable material, they basically went, oh, hell no, Arya's the show. And then just flipped it, which is cool because we all love Arya. But you can't have Jon Snow spend 8 years at the wall and on the other side of the wall and doing all this to literally, I mean, what did he do in this battle? He did fucking nothing. He rode a dragon and fell off. He fell into a fucking land and almost got killed by the fucking the walking dead that rose up when the fucking Night King rose him up, needed to be saved by Dany. Then he went to try and fucking fight a dragon. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You went to go save Bran. Why are you trying to fight a dragon? And he's screaming in a dragon's face about to die. And then fucking he gets saved by another girl, Arya. So it's like Jon Snow's whole mission was to go fucking battle the Night King. And he ended up getting saved by 2 chicks and being a bitch the whole episode.
Yeah, well,
like, he did nothing.
As it turns out, as we go back through the history of the show, Jon Snow, not great in battle, by the way.
Not great very often. Not great very often.
He has very losing ideas all the time, and he always needs, he either loses or gets bailed out at the last second. That's his whole MO.
He does get bailed out a lot. So we talked about throwbacks. Let's start there, right? So there's a few throwbacks I listed. I actually did more prep work for this podcast, I think, note-wise, where I was just writing down frantically, watching every scene and pausing it and writing stuff down. So here are the main ones that I saw, Pat. Tell me which ones you liked, didn't like, thought were too much. Sticking with the pointy end was great when Arya was telling Sansa that when she gave her the blade. You will close all the eyes, green eyes, brown eyes, blue eyes with Melisandre. Great throwback. The dagger that Bran gave to Arya ended up killing the Night King. Great. And what do we say to the God of Death? Which was interesting. I think there's a couple different ways to interpret that. But are there any others, and what of those were your favorite?
I think that those are all of them. I think just the dagger that Bran gave to Arya, the way that all, because it was the dagger that was used to try to kill Bran afterwards. He ends up with it, ends up in Arya's hands, and that's what she uses. I like that full tie-in.
That was cool. It was cool. It was definitely cool. Even when you go back, because obviously I went frame by frame, and then I went back to find the episodes where he gave the dagger and watched the scene. The look he gave her was very weird when he gave it to her. Really cool stuff there. What do you think about the what do we say to the God of Death? What is that? Does that, because we never saw, I forget the trainer guy who fought with the wood sword who died when he had Arya leave back in the day, like her mentor.
Oh, Syrio Farrell?
Syrio, whatever his name was. Right. So what is that trying to say there? That Melisandre saw that, or that was him at that moment, or what was it? Where was that going?
Yeah, I don't know. To be perfect,
I don't know what that was about. Like, how did she know that?
It could just be a cool line for one thing. Like, there's always that part of it too, where we're spending this much time. Like, they're just trying to get it done. Armor. They're trying to create an entertaining hour and a half of TV, and they're just trying to fill it up at some points. And then we're sitting here like, oh my god, what does that exactly mean? Like,
we're trying to overanalyze things.
Maybe it means nothing. Maybe it's just a tie-in to Arya. That's that's what she's. We've heard that in the past. Jaqen said it. Syrio said it. She says it. And then there is like a connection between like Bravos, the Lord of Light people. I know that the God of Death, it kind of encompasses all of the gods. So the Lord of Light is in that. So I guess she would have some unique insight to it. But there's just a lot of this stuff that we've seen throughout the years just isn't going to pay off. Like, remember, like, it could be as much as, remember before they left wherever the hell Dany was, there was like another red woman, and like they were
that was weird, but
like, we're never gonna see that. Maybe it was just the time, like, you need to pay attention to the red woman when the time comes. Maybe that's all that scene was in there for. So it's hard to overrate. Like, I have no real specific thoughts on it. Do you have any thoughts on it?
I don't. I mean, I listen, I don't have as much confidence in these writers as you. At all.
It's not that I have the
fucking all.
It's not I have the utmost confidence in them, but I want to.
I think I'm smarter than them.
I at least want to see the last 3 episodes and at least give them some leeway.
I do too. Listen. the show has done so well and has been so amazing for so long that you really got to try to fuck this up, right? Like you literally have everything. It's like a kid who turns 18 and has a $5 million trust fund from his grandmother. Like if you don't fucking end up being successful, you're the fucking worst human. So it's almost impossible to fuck this up. But every episode I've seen last season to this season, including yesterday, Pat, I've left it going. I could have done a better job with that. And for the first 6 seasons, I don't think there was any episodes where I said that. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I didn't even think of that. Whereas now I'm going to, I could have done that better. I could have done that better. I think the Reddit forums and the avid fans and the fucking people who, I didn't read the books, but who are read the books and know Bran's backstory, know the Night King backstory, they could have done a better job than D&D on this. I'm just saying it. And so therefore, I don't have as much confidence going forward because I think they're rushing.
Well, I mean, it's very clear that it's not that they're rushing to get it done. It's they only have so much time to get it done. Like
they decided that. That's my problem.
Sure,
they decided
they're taking over Star Wars next year. Like they're doing fine with all this. Then HBO can start running out its Game of Thrones spinoffs and everything like that. But for this main story, it's coming to an end. So I think it's been sort of I agree with you. Last season wasn't all that strong because like the pacing seemed kind of crazy. That we were getting these huge act. That's why I kind of liked the first 2 episodes of this season. That it wasn't action packed. It was more about the characters.
But this is when we needed it. You had a whole season last season to stretch this shit out. But
in like the 6 episodes last season or the 7 episodes, whatever the hell it was, there was like 4 giant action set pieces. Like that used to be 1 a year. And it used to be in like episode 8 or episode 9. We didn't need them all
last year.
We didn't, but I feel like that's kind of killed this episode. They kind of shot their load a little bit last year with all these crazy battles that now that they're, getting to the battle that should have been the biggest of them all, that, you're kind of desensitized to it. And it was like just the craft of the entire thing. Like for the amount of characters that you had in one place that you had to like have service to and show what was happening with them, like that was sort of the problem, that there was too much going on, and where I guess they told them it had to be like 85 minutes, whatever it was, that I felt like he could have cut 15 minutes out of this episode or done something like, hey, when the White Walkers start, they figure out how to cross the bridge with the fire by just killing themselves, have the dragon sit up there and just burn them all to death for a while.
Right. Yeah. It's like, why was that so hard? Like, I mean, the whole, there was a lot of holes in it. So, that was, but it was, the throwbacks were awesome. What do you think the best moments of the show are? I've been bashing it a little bit. What do you think the best moments of oh, by the way, the one thing I wanted to tell you. So the tweet that I wrote, I think you'll understand I think it kind of capsulizes my thought process. I wrote, in a vacuum, by the way, at Tommy G on Twitter and at the PME on Twitter, if you want to follow us. In a vacuum, this Game of Thrones episode was one of the best in TV history. And I do believe that. In a vacuum, amazing episode, start to finish, edge of my seat, smoked weed, closed the lights. I was locked the fuck in. But when looked at in totality with the last 7 seasons, these assholes basically wasted 2 years of our time on shit that really didn't end up mattering. Dragons didn't matter. Night King didn't matter. Dany didn't matter. Jon didn't matter. Literally everything that we've been building up to for this war didn't matter in this war. Cool plot twist at the end, but it was just lazy writing, in my opinion. That was my analysis.
I by just watching this episode, I can see that. And I know that everyone was like pissed off, like Brienne and Jaime and them didn't die, but I think it gets really interesting here over the next 3 by having, I don't know, like, is Jaime going to turn on them again, kind of thing, and go back with Cersei?
Oh, I love all that.
And then you have Jon, and is he going to fight with Daenerys? Does Jon end up becoming the Night King to save them all and repeat the entire process? Like that sort of stuff. Like it's hard to judge. Like as you said, as a single solo episode, this episode was awesome. Like I can't remember anticipating an episode of TV like this in a long time. And maybe that's the thing. Like the expectations are so high for something like this that you get into the nitpicking part and you forget like how much fun was it to watch this episode?
Fucking awesome.
You've already watched it 3 times.
3 times. It's literally, and listen, I'll tell you that I was the most bored during the Dragons, Dany, and Jon parts. Like I almost went through who gives a shit? Like enough of this. But that's the thing. That's what was so amazing about the episode, that usually when something is that hyped up, it can do nothing but fail. And it didn't. It actually exceeded my expectations, because there was, as much as I didn't like how quickly the Night King died and all that, I did have a feeling he'd die at Winterfell. I mean, the fucking place is called Winterfell. Like it's literally they're giving away in the fucking show. Like if you think about the Starks, history and what their background is and all that, this is how shit was supposed to go down. The Starks were supposed to defeat them in Winterfell. Like that makes total sense. So I liked all that. It was just, it was too fast. It was too like, just get this sci-fi shit out of the way. But anyway, what other moments did you love in this episode?
The Dothraki charge at the beginning, like with all the
that was cool.
with
lighting
all
the swords.
Yeah, and just the vantage point of John and Danny watching it from up on the mountain. You can see all the fire just starting to go out. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean,
the first 15 minutes as a whole was just fucking dope. Like
I actually,
the first 10 to 15 was just sick, I thought.
Oh, it was awesome. And then the part where the Night King did raise all the White Walkers, like instead of like fighting John, but then all the White Walkers, like all the people who just previously died inside the castle, they all get back up. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Which went nowhere though. Like that was the thing. Like you just, we see Little Bear and all these people like, oh shit, the old, because I've been saying, I'm dying for the fuck. I said it before the show. I want the fucking giant to be a White Walker and come in. And they gave us that, which was awesome. I was fine with Little Bear killing him, Lyanna Mormont or whatever her name is. I was fine with her killing him the way they killed him. Cool. That was awesome. She's a little gladiator. She's been trying to fight since we first saw her on the show. But it's like, dude, you could have done so much with these people, the people who died coming back from the dead as White Walkers, and the tough situation of maybe you kill Lady Brienne, right? Because she can go now because she's knighted. That's been her mission since we first saw her.
No, see, I don't think so. She has to. She factors.
She's not going to go.
She factors into this Jaime, Cersei, and like charge on King's Landing storyline more.
I actually said it on the last pod that I don't think she dies. I actually think she survives the whole show.
She might.
You could have killed someone like her, right? Or killed Jorah, right? And then so Jorah dies, gets brought back as a White Walker, and now Jorah is coming at Dany to kill Dany, and Dany has the tough situation of, do I kill him or do I? It's still Jorah. Like I wanted to see more of that, where these characters that we love have a certain relationship with another character, and that character comes back as a White Walker, and they have that tough call, like, where do I kill him? Is it still them, or is it an evil person? Like, I just wanted at least one of those. And they basically brought the blue eyes back to fucking Lyanna Mormont and a bunch of people, and then they all just died 3 seconds later. So who fucking cares?
Hey, how much longer would you want this episode to be then?
2 episodes. I wanted this war to be 2 episodes.
That's tough.
I wanted the cliffhangers. If you would have had the cliffhangers of these people, like anyone would have been mad about this war.
Then the entire complaint would be, I can't believe they left us with a hangover. They built this all up to be an episode.
No,
it's not even
because if they would have never.
That is not how the internet works.
You didn't need the Night King in this episode. You really didn't, because we had enough with the Battle of the Dead, and then you have the dead fucking die, the living win, and then the fucking Night King just appears. And then you fucking, oh shit, now he's here. And then you have that come into the next episode. I could have done 2 episodes of this.
It could have worked if you had 2 separate stories. Like, they're not big on, like, you either have the season as sort of like as an arc for all the characters that you can tie in, and that's why the longer seasons always helped, that you didn't necessarily need to check in with everyone for, like, not everyone had to be the focal point of every episode. They could be like a somewhat Arya episode, and then she doesn't get her own episode again until like 4 later. You don't really have the time for that anymore, that everyone needs to be the main character of every episode. So when people get left behind, you're not giving that character any service whatsoever. So I can see how it can be split up, but they do like to have like one story per episode. Like most episodes are pretty contained to one episode, even if they're a part of a larger arc, that having it split up into part 1 and part 2 is just not something the show does.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was going to be. This was the first of 2 battles with the White Walkers.
But we're gonna get our other battle episode at the end of the year with Cersei's crew too. Like
and it's almost like, but when you go from, like, if this was reality, like, you just fought the battle of human survival for eternity, and now you're gonna fight for a throne. Like, aren't you just like, dude, fuck that throne, dude? We get to live. Like, let's all be friends. Like, it's almost like playing the Super Bowl.
Now you fight the battle with yourself.
Yeah, but it's like, do you even fucking care anymore, dude? You thought all of existence was gone, and now it's not. So now it's like, I'm remotivated to get the throne. I'd be like, fuck that throne, dude. We're alive. Let's party.
Well, I think
it's almost like having the Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl.
I think that's going to be a major plot point. Is that the only one who's like going to want to go get the throne is Dany, and everyone's like, fuck this.
Dude, everyone should just be like fucking like they just fucking popped an ecstasy pill right now. Like what? You just fucking defeated the dead, dude. You literally, for thousands of years, these people have been the biggest fear to end humanity. It's like if an asteroid just struck down on the Earth and fucking aliens landed on Earth, and all Democrats and Republicans, gay and straight, Hicks and KKK and every other fucking demographic in the world that hates each other, all united to defeat the aliens. What? And then once we defeat the aliens, we all go, all right, back to hating black people and white people and Spanish people. Like, no, like we'd all be good now. Like, we're all like good. Like, fuck it. We just defeated the fucking aliens. We got our planet back. Let's not go back to trolling each other on Twitter. Let's be nice to everyone now. Like,
how dare you? How dare you project your liberal sensibilities onto the show, Tommy? I've had enough of this.
Fucking call me liberal again. I will fly to you right now, Patrick Mayo. But so what other great fudge? I mean, I thought the Theon, like they really tried to hammer us home with this Theon stuff, and like I that's the one part I didn't really buy, but it was nice shoving him down our throat.
It was nice to see him kind of get a little bit of redemption, that he can go out doing whatever.
Right. That was fine. I mean, Jorah dying for Dany and Dany actually killing some people instead of just being weak and never swinging a sword was nice. Like, that was kind of cool.
You know what I could have used more of was Tyrion and Sansa in the crypt. I actually thought all the stuff in the crypts was super compelling.
I think we're going to get more of that. I think that's kind of what you talked about. That's for next episode.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a lot more. Which that's the shit I like too. I like that kind of stuff too. So I think that, I mean, I thought they gave us that with the Melisandre Arya interactions, right? Like we got a little bit of it. We didn't just get Tyrion and Sansa. We got Melisandre and Arya. You know, we got the Hound and Arya reuniting a little bit. So they did give us a little bit of that, you know, things that we've worked for 8 years in the character development, seeing a lot of things we wanted to see. I like that. But Dany lighting up the Night King and him just standing there. Fuck. Any interaction with the Night King. Anything the Night King did in this episode, his looks and his smiles and his stares were just incredible. It was just awesome. You could just see the memes happening as it was going on.
He's very smug, that Night King.
I love it.
Very smug individual.
You could see him looking like if he had words come out, it would be like, fuck you, bitch. Like, or is that all you got?
But a lot of people now are complaining like, oh, what's the Night King's backstory? What did he really want? Isn't it more terrifying that we didn't know what he wanted, that he was just this force of evil?
I agree with you. I had this debate literally 2 hours ago with my friend. And I was like, it's better that we don't fucking know. I want to know what the fuck's going on with Bran. Like that I need to know. Like, you better tie that up.
We will find out about that.
You better tie that up in a fucking the tightest of beautiful bows. I don't want some fucking half-assed fucking thing. That better be tied up where you told me why I wasted about 16 episodes of my life over the last 8 years on this shit for him to just be bait under a tree. So that better tie up the way we are hoping to with time travel and all that kind of shit. But yeah, like it was just, I don't know, the Night King stuff. I liked that we know nothing about him outside of, the children of the forest ended up fucking turning him into a walker and whatever. So I did like that. I agree with you on that, Pat.
What else did I really enjoy?
Here's some weird moments. Do you have any other epic ones that you thought of?
No, I just think that sequence of Arya in the library and then the Hound and
everything Arya
and what's his name, Beric coming to like save them. I just thought that was a great sequence.
Everything Arya, I think, is just fucking awesome. Right? Like they've made it. Yeah.
Can we talk about the darkness? Like how dark the episode was? Like to physically watch. So
I wrote the biggest villain was the color.
So, I think this works twofold. I think from a storytelling perspective, that putting the viewer in a state of not really being able to tell what's going on kind of mimics what's happening for the characters in the show. Like they don't know what the fuck's going on. Like it's just it's pure craziness at all times. The other part of it is, I assume this is where most of the budget from this like $100 million season went, because special effects ain't cheap. And also special effects can look really bad. But if you set it in a really dark background, you don't see the seams of everything. And like all these White Walkers, well, there's a ton of extras. A lot of this stuff is just pure CGI. That I think that's why it was so dark, to cover up. Maybe they had to go like an extra tint on darkness because like, this doesn't look the best and we're running out of time to get this done. Let's darken it up a bit, and then we don't need to be as sharp as we need to be with some of these special effects. Right. It's not the Avengers movie where they got to spend like 3 years making it.
Right.
So
that's the thing.
I feel,
I agree.
But that's also like, some people are complaining about this. Like, this is real life. Like this is a real like story that happened. Like it's a
Oh my
documentary.
God.
It's just really bizarre to me. Like it's a fucking TV show. Like calm your tits.
I'm so happy you just teed me up for that. Did you see? I don't know if you follow him, but Ben Shapiro tweeted something about the episode, right? And he tweeted something that I thought was, and now I got my next section here, like weird moments, right? Like, and then there's gonna be fuck ups because I feel like there was some fuck ups in it, but like just some weird shit. Like you really have fucking Theon, who literally hasn't proven to be a warrior at all, defending Bran with fucking like 15 dudes with arrows against the goddamn Night King who's supposed to be flying it. Like, you got every character in the show's history there. I get Theon needs to be by Bran to tie up that storyline for Theon, but that's it. Like, and then someone on Twitter responded. There was like 5 people who responded. Well, it worked out, didn't it?
Of course, it
Motherfucker, it's a fucking show. They can make a butterfly kill the Night King if they wanted to. Don't give me that. It worked out, didn't it? It was fucking plot armor. There was too much the beauty of Game of Thrones is that a completely science fiction show that made you believe almost everything that was happening was possible, right? Like that's when you've done a great job with a sci-fi, when you're so locked in it that you don't realize that you're talking about people ripping other people's faces off and wearing them and dragons and shit, right?
Well, I thought the reason I thought that the reason that Theon was the one left guarding him with like his crew was that they were trying to make Bran an easy target to lure out the Night King. Like, oh yeah, we'll just do that. And
right, but why don't you have other people hiding?
Well, I thought John was supposed to be out there like waiting for him with the dragon, and then he got all fucked up.
Fuck up.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Danny didn't do shit. Danny couldn't burn the people with the dragon. John couldn't do shit with the dragon. Like. They're all just they spent 8 years training for this moment. And they just fucked it up left and right. So I didn't like the weapon thing, man. Why did we spend time? Why did we spend time on Gendry building this very specific weapon? And they gave us like just the quickest of views of the piece of paper it was drawn on. And she said, I need this, exactly this. And it was like a big deal for her to fucking lose it in fucking 3 minutes.
Well, it's not necessarily lost. It's there. So maybe it comes back.
It may come back, but I mean, didn't you think it's made of fucking dragon glass, Pat? Like, what is she doing that to kill Cersei? Like, why did it have to be dragon glass then? If it was like that, should have been the thing where she had that weapon and picked that weapon up, split it, and fucking killed the Night King in some like flipping out fucking dagger flip move where he didn't realize it was 2 parts, and then the 2 part like. I don't know. I just thought that should have been the fucking thing. And then maybe she ends him with the fucking dagger in her pocket. Like
maybe she
throws the dagger.
Maybe she needs it to kill a dragon.
All right, I'll give you that. But I mean, the dragons are on her side right now. So
right now, the dragons are on her side. I think
you're really giving these people a lot of credit, Pat. They're not.
I'm telling you, there's 3 episodes. Something needs to happen in the last 3 episodes.
Listen, you can say we've got 3 episodes left, Pat, but we've had like 100 of them.
Sure, but like the final 3 episodes just aren't going to be an hour and a half of them walking to King's Landing. There's going to be conflict. And the reason that they keep these people around so they can start fighting with each other.
Right, I get that. But at the same token, Pat, come on. We had fucking a whole season last season, which we both said was subpar. We had 2 episodes, which was a lot of filler and reunion. And then we had this episode, which was really good. I don't think these 2 guys are all of a sudden going to go, okay, ready? In an hour and 20 minutes over the course of the next 3 episodes, we are going to pull more rabbits out of our hat and tie up I just think you're giving up too much credit.
Well, I mean, what side of the coin do you end up falling on? Is it do you want everything to turn out exactly how you want it, or do you want there to be some mystery to this? Like,
I want extension. I want more, and I'm not going to stop bitching.
Well, you're not going to get it. I hate to tell you.
So I'm going to keep bitching because I should have got it, and it's fucking what we deserved. We deserved more. Most shows go. The problem is that most
sound
shows
like
go.
We just found out that you're Mr. Liberal. You sound like Mr. Entitled Millennial right now. Like, come on.
I'm a 40-year-old libertarian. But the problem is that most shows go too long. Right? Like,
yeah,
most
so if this show went for another 6 seasons, you'd hate it. You'd end up like Entourage, where you're in season 6 being like, fuck this.
Just give me fucking 11 hour-and-a-half episodes this season. That's all you needed to give me. I don't need 5 more seasons. But listen, it's still up for debate. They better wrap this shit up the way I want them to. What do you think about Dany's dragon just fucking flying off when she was like in trouble?
Well, it's pretty beat up. You kind of coward.
Yeah, it's your mom, dude.
Dragons are a bit of a coward, as it turns out, because John's dragon kind of did the same thing after it crashed.
All the dragons fucking left.
It's like it's kind of like they ran out of dragon budget, and they're like, what do we do here?
Just make them leave. I don't know. We'll show them in the preview for next one. But they're still alive for those that are wondering.
And so is Ghost. Ghost is still alive as well.
Yes, Ghost is. I wasn't sure about that actually, but yeah, I think where was he seen at the end of the episode we just watched?
He's in the preview for next week.
A preview for next one. Okay, I didn't really see him in that. I just heard someone say that online, but I went back and watched it and didn't see it.
So someone actually sent me a screenshot of it. I can't remember if it's from the end.
So maybe he was there, not predominantly featured.
Can't remember if it's from the end of the episode or if it is from like the preview for next week.
Okay, so here's my anti-liberal bias here. I mentioned this earlier. I need your opinion on this because we all know I'm a fucking chauvinist.
Let me guess. You're mad because the women all did their parts to save all the dudes.
Why every episode did the fucking men just get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker? I get it from the beginning. It's been a female show. It's been a female-dominated show. I've been right on 98% of my predictions for the last 9 years because I just never predict a female to die, right? Like, they just don't die. Like, Bran's not dying. Cersei's going to die because she's a man now. But it's like, dude, think about the most dominant men you saw, especially from a battle perspective in this episode. You know, we had the Hound, the fire again. All right, enough with him being scared of fire and fucking all that. Fine. Arya had to wake him up by seeing him. We had the Night King, the most dominant male in the whole show, killed by a girl. Jaime saved by Brienne. The Giant killed by a small girl. Jon saved by Daenerys. Name me one guy who was heroic. Even Grey Worm, who's the fucking best gladiator in the history of the world, sat there shitting his pants for 30 minutes. Like, was there a guy in this show? Tyrion was down with the fucking women in the tombs, couldn't do anything, drinking like an asshole. Like, was there a guy on the fucking show that stepped up outside of maybe Beric who fucking really was heroic?
Jorah, I guess.
I guess, right?
He
still died.
He died, but he died saving her.
Yeah, but again, saving a woman. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, there was no guy who fucked shit up. Like, you have a battle and there's no guy who even Melisandre was a critical role. Saved everyone by lighting the bridge. Like, is no one else realizing this? That fucking men, this is like the LGBTQ show of the year right now. This is the Me Too movement, this show.
I think but it falls in line with like what the show has been the entire time.
Not this extreme, dude. John's been a badass. Grey Worm's been a badass. The Hound's been a badass. The Night King's been a badass. Like, R.R. Martin at least had these guys being badasses before they got whipped by women.
Sure,
these guys,
but I mean, most of these women, I mean, outside of Arya, really, and I guess Brienne to an extent, like, you know, they had to go through their 3 seasons of just the worst things happening to them.
Right. Even that was R.R. Martin, though. That wasn't him. That wasn't these fuckers.
Sure, and now
that was R.R. Martin that put that.
But I mean, it's not like George.
These fuckers don't put him through anything.
It's not like George R.R. I mean, I guess I don't know where they've got to in the books, as it turns out, to like who's still alive, who's not still alive. But
I think the books kind of ended when John died, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's where it leaves off. Yes, but I think like some of the storylines were like farther along than the show had them, kind of thing. But it's not like George R.R. Martin's like detached from this project completely. Like, he set them up with like here's how it's supposed to end, and you guys do what you want.
I think he duped him. I think he fucking intentionally gave him some fucking bad shit to do, just so his book ending is better when he writes it. Honestly, I would not put that.
Or it's like a test case.
Many moments.
Or he gave them like, hey, here's what I'm planning on doing. Let's put it out there into the ether. If people like it, I'll stick with that. If people don't like it, I'll change it up a bit.
He gets to fucking basically see how this plays out before he decides on his end thing. Just do the exact opposite if people don't like it. Another thing that was weird, like I said, is just Bran in general. Everything Bran, you know, like we talked about. Like,
well,
I think you're right with him going back in time. I'm leaving that as a cliffhanger. I'm not grading that yet. Well, I'm giving that as an incomplete.
The most difficult thing the show has had is dealing with that Bran storyline, because that really does seem like a fantasy trope, whatever it might be, but in the books, like, that's something you can really flesh out. Like, it's very difficult to dedicate the time to tell his story. It's hard to articulate that even on screen without being like Captain Exposition the entire time, me describing to you what's going on. That's why everyone found these books like hard to adapt for the screen to begin with, is because they're all like first person perspectives of the story. It's not like you know what this person's thinking, you know what that person's thinking. You need to kind of tie it all in as an actual like TV show. It doesn't work any other way. And just it doesn't seem like Benioff and Weiss had a whole lot of interest in that specific element of the fantasy storytelling. Like they're the best at like the inter-character stuff. Like you're right. Like the whole sci-fi part of it. Well, it takes place in like a faux medieval times kind of thing with a bit of magic rolling around. Like that's too magic for them. Like that's not really their forte.
Right. They wanted the sci-fi out. That was blatantly obvious to me. So they wanted the sci-fi out and they got it out. Now it's gone, I think. No talk characters died, right? Like everyone was like, so many deaths this week. And in my death pool, the only 2 people I predicted to die, I wrote it out. I had Jorah as 100% dead. I had Gendry and Theon, both in that next tier. And then Lady Brienne, I said, should live, but worth a stab. So pretty much exactly as I thought from the living. I thought they were going to keep everyone alive because I know these writers want those storylines. They'd rather tie up those storylines than this storyline. So I was pretty on with that. But were you good with everyone living? I'm assuming you're in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm good with everyone living only because like, if this was the last episode, I would have been kind of furious that everyone didn't die at a major battle. But again, like if you kill everyone who's important in this episode, like what actually happens for the last 3?
Right.
Like there's no story to tell. Like it's over.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, you should have killed one of them.
Yeah.
I think we could have killed one of the big 6. You know, like we could have killed one of them. But I get it. I'm fine with it.
It would have been a good time to basically knock out Tyrion. Not that I would want that to happen because I love Tyrion. That could have been the punch that kind of saved it. Like, oh shit, or like Sansa kills him out of all people, sort of thing. Like something like someone turns on someone.
He's so complex and so intertwined to the Lannisters and the Starks and even Jon and even Dany that I think you gotta keep him. That's gotta happen at King's Landing. That's gotta happen with some.
I agree, and that's gonna happen. But if you wanted like the emotional punch of the episode, he's the most favorite character everyone has.
Bro, just fucking kill Grey Worm. Like you don't even need to go all the way up. Like you knew Jorah was dead. Like you gotta kill a Brienne or a Grey Worm or a Varys. Or, you know, you gotta get one of those guys that we've been with since season 2. You know, one of those guys had to go. So that was a little bit disappointing. I have a question for you, Pat. Okay.
Let me hear it.
So the daggers, right? The dragon glass daggers and the Valyrian steel. So Valyrian steel is made from dragon fire, correct?
Correct.
And that's the reason why it can kill White Walkers, correct?
But why couldn't dragon fire do it?
Why did the dragon fire not kill the Night King, but a dagger that was blown with dragon fire was able to?
Magic?
I feel like that's a fuck up, dude. No, it's just a fuck up.
No,
they just went,
no. It's not. There will be some sort of. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I haven't read the books.
It's a fuck up. It was a shortcut.
Like it could be a shortcut, but like there's some reason behind it, I guess. Because they even made mention that they didn't know if dragon fire actually killed. Maybe there's something to do with like the steel plus the I don't know, magic. Just say magic and move on. For most of these things,
I won't give that.
It's like that Simpsons episode where just like when Itchy in frame 34 hits the rib like a xylophone and then hits the exact same rib and it produces a different sound. Are we supposed to think that this is some sort of magical xylophone?
No, you're talking about a show, Pat, that made its living with us overanalyzing every little detail and giving us little Easter eggs, whether it be in the opening credits or a Blue Eyes line or a dagger given in episode 1. These tiebacks and throwbacks is how they made their living. So I can't let them off the hook if something isn't explained. I just can't. I'd let other shows off the hook with that. But this one is too good to say, wait, I'm going to need an explanation at some point. Hopefully I get it.
Maybe you get it. I'll just attribute it to magic.
Yeah, fuck that. That's not okay with me. We already talked about Theon and the 15 idiots defending Bran. I thought that was a fuck up. That was just ridiculous. Jon not getting there. It's a fuck up. We talked about that. And my big thing was I wanted to see if Jon could be burnt. They had it because they talked about the Targaryen.
I thought that was going to be a thing. Like once the dragon lit all the fire and he was I thought what was going to happen was he was going to catch up to the Night King because the dragon was going to burn all the whites and he would just run through the fire at him.
Pat, here's the ultimate. Like, here's another thing that they could have done, which is an extra 2 minutes and doesn't change anything because John was fucking useless this whole episode.
Like usual.
John steps up, goes to the dragon, screams in the dragon's face. Fucking Arya stabs the Night King. The dragon blows his fire on John. What appears to be death to John. John falls down, and then the dragon dies. And we're left with a cliffhanger on top of the other cliff because there really was no cliffhanger in this. Like Melisandre ending the episode laying on the fucking ice. Like, fuck out of here. She hasn't even been here for the last 10 episodes.
Yeah,
like, that's not how you end this. You end it with John on the ground, and then we're all wondering, did the fire kill him? And then the next episode, you start it with John coming back from the fire that he's realizing now, and his moment of shock, like, holy shit, that didn't kill me because I'm a Targaryen. I forgot. I can't die from fire. That would have been dope.
Yeah,
let everyone talk about is Jon Snow dead? Then you wouldn't have needed to kill any of the main characters, and you could have had all the dummies out there thinking, "Oh my God, Jon Snow died," whereas the sharps like us would have been like, "Nah, he's coming back because he's Targaryen."
Well, then you have to get into the whole thing is like ice fire the same as regular fire.
But listen, they're it's magic.
See, there
I'll
you
just
go.
bail on magic.
If you're willing to fall back on the magic thing, like I am.
No, I'm not. I wanted Snow to fight the Night King. I wanted Snow to die from fire and then come back.
Well, I mean, you're a rich
Not
man.
really.
Why don't you just commission your own show?
I'm gonna. Me and you are gonna write a show. We're gonna fight the whole fucking time.
Everything can just happen exactly how you want it, and you'll be happy, and then you'll be mad when you watch it in the end.
All right, here's some other fuck ups here. Okay. We talked about Night King's biggest pussy in America. He literally had to raise the whites because he was scared of Jon Snow.
He doesn't like to
Got
get his
killed
hands.
by
He doesn't like to get his hands dirty. That's why he
missed the dragon with his spear. Like, how many opportunities does this dude? Like, the only thing he did was a little swim move on Theon, and then magically stuck a piece of wood through armor out the back. He stuck that thing in his belly button, came directly out his back, and then when Theon was on the ground, the spear was through his side, which was a cinematographical error, whatever the fuck you say that word.
It's probably
it's
probably like the fourth take.
Yeah, exactly. So they changed the placement of the spear. Little shit like that pisses me off. But I mean, God, the Night King was a pussy. Can you even rank him in the top bad guys of all time after this episode? I think he's out of the Hall of Fame.
I don't think he was in the Hall of Fame to begin with. We never really saw him. He didn't really do anything.
He's the fucking Night King. He's the leader of the fucking baddest dude leading the baddest army in the baddest show ever.
Anyway, he wasn't all that bad, as it turned out. He wasn't really that big of a badass.
He's a pussy. You agree he's a pussy?
Maybe he just didn't like to listen. He liked to get. He's like one of those Batman villains from like the '60s show. He just let the henchmen with the stupid names do all the stuff, and you just kind of hang back in the weeds and see what's going on. Like the only time he ever actually laid hands on anyone is when he touched Bran in that vision. Like his biggest downfall.
He couldn't even hold Bran.
His biggest downfall was walking in slow motion at Bran. You just walk like a normal person, and boom, he's dead.
Yeah, I love that though. Everyone hated that. I love that part. That was the best part. But where the fuck did Arya come from? Like, how is everyone fine with this? This is straight plot armor again. Like, no, the Night King is the smartest dude in the fucking world. Like, he's sharp, he's dangerous, he's got a fucking army of like 50 dead people behind him. And Arya just flies like goddamn Spider-Man over everyone from nowhere.
Well, I felt like that was set up in that scene where she's in the library, that she could be sort of stealthy enough that she couldn't be detected. I thought that was sort of the setup for the scene later, that's why no one was able to sort of sense her being around, that she's too shifty, she's too quiet, she's too little. That's a part of like her dead band training.
Dude, I could see if she snuck up. She went over everyone. How'd she get over everyone? She literally flew in like from a fucking. Was she in a tree? Like I don't know. I just thought it was a little. That was a little fucking comic booky. Like
it's a fantasy TV show.
But you didn't need it. You could have had her fucking do some front flips and kill some fucking dead people before she got to him. Like she's the biggest badass in the show. She did it 10 times that episode alone. She could have done it one more time and got to him.
I thought what happened to be like when I was watching it the first time through, because I went back and watched the end again. When she dropped the dagger and like caught it in the other hand and stabbed him, I thought she dropped it and Bran grabbed it and then stabbed him. But that's not what
that would have been cool.
I thought that would have been awesome.
Cool. Yeah, that would have been definitely cool. I don't know. Another weird fuck up, like when she was bleeding in the fuck. You were talking about the people chasing her, the dead people chasing her. Like the blood was dripping on the floor. Like come on. Like, these are simple things that piss me off, Pat, that are totally insignificant. But after the first drop of blood hit the fucking floor and you look down at it and you show her face like, oh, fuck, wipe your fucking head.
Yeah.
Don't let 5 more drops hit the fucking floor. Like, how hard was that? That one drop would have been enough, writers, to get their attention. Like, have her wipe her head and then have them still show up. Why is there 5 more drops falling out of her head hitting the floor, Pat?
It's visually more impressive to watch.
Oh, come on.
It is.
They're better than that.
It creates more tension for the viewer. It looks
be a
blood
piss
looks good
deal.
on camera. You gotta take these things into consideration.
Try and keep me in reality. I'm not a sci-fi guy.
I'm sorry. You're wrong. You're watching the wrong show.
No, I'm not, because I love it. The reason this show is so big is because non-sci-fi people are watching it. It ain't you guys. It ain't those of you who watch Star Trek and shit.
Love Star
It's
Trek.
those of us that don't. Exactly.
That's
I'm
what,
sure you.
that's what you should be watching. You should go binge Star Trek Discovery, the new Star Trek show. Top notch stuff.
Right. But here's the thing, Pat. It's me that made this show so big, not you. You guys are going to watch all this shit. You guys have your niche audience of sci-fi junkies that watch all these things. And I'm sure there's been a million shows like this which were comparable, if not maybe even as good. The mass appeal of my mom and my brother, the Bod, and me, who don't even like demon movies. Like, the Bod hates zombies. He hates demons. He hates all that shit.
What if Jason Statham was fighting them?
He would fucking watch every single second of the episode and jerk off to it in his sleep. But the fact that 60% of the 70% of the people watching this show are non-sci-fi people is what's made it so big. So you gotta keep us in. You gotta keep us in the reality. So
sure, and maybe that's why they wrapped up all the sci-fi so quickly, because they know that maybe that's not what the TV viewers want to see. Maybe that's just what the book people want to see.
I 100% agree with you, Pat. That's why I knew they were doing it. I saw it coming, and I don't hate it. It's just, like I said, and we'll let this go. 5-minute battle scene with Jon. A little more of Jon getting to the fucking end. It should have been Jon and Arya defeating the Night King. Jon fighting the Night King. The Night King escaped. Jon fights the Night King for 5 minutes. Night King escapes. Dead come up. Dany saves Jon. Jon makes his way back to the Night King to save Bran. The Night King now has the lead. The Night King's about to kill Jon, and then Arya comes in and stabs him. Then everyone shuts the fuck up. But Jon can't be that insignificant. You cannot have their face-to-face, and you can't just kill the Night King in 3 seconds. So 8 more minutes of episode, and there's not a complaint on Twitter. And you have the same outcome. Arya kills the Night King with Bran's blade.
Well, there's also the other side of this too. Maybe some of it is geared to create outrage on Twitter to get more people talking about this stuff, because it's the only thing that people have talked about for the past 24 hours.
Are you related to these 2 fucking guys that write this shit?
I'm just saying. Listen, it's not just them. There's
like
40
you
writers.
are overly defending them. Are you in love with a lot of their other works?
Not really. No, I really didn't like the movie Troy. I just think that I'm assessing this from like how it's so difficult to put this stuff together, especially like such a wide.
And you would know, as someone who puts together your whole shows and audios and videos, and like, you're the hardest working man in podcasting.
Yeah, but just the actual and like something like this on such a grand scale, taking like to shoot a season of this, like this one took like over like a legit calendar year to shoot in all these different locations, to coordinate 20 main characters in one spot, to have them interact with CGI. Like, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
I mean, it is easy to know, hey, the main guy should fight the main bad guy. Like,
well, maybe he's.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe,
you did all this other shit.
Maybe you've been duped into thinking he's the main good guy.
Oh, come on, dude. If that's the case, then fuck you. That's not even a plot twist. That's you fucking wasting 8 years of my time. Like, you know, like, there's a plot twist is one thing. Fucking misleading me on purpose for Usual Suspects is a plot twist. That would be a fuck you to the viewers if that happened. Let's do the Deadpool here. So, what do we got? Who do we have dead right now?
Theon, Jorah, Lyanna, Ed, Melisandre, Beric, Night King. That's it. That's who you have listed.
And the direwolf is still alive.
The direwolf's still alive. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll assume the wolf is still alive. So, of those characters that died there, what do you think of how they went? Was there any you were happy about? Was there any you disappointed with?
It was fine. It was to be expected. All the people that I actually thought more people would die. They did no surprises. It was the job squad that died.
Right. Yeah, basically, right. It was the grunt workers there. So I mean, Theon, his arc was over, Jorah's arc was over. They're very big on really putting a bow on each individual character's story arc, it seems.
Which they don't need to do, but if they didn't do,
Which they don't.
all the complaints would be, I can't believe they didn't give this death more time. Like
right. I agree with it, but I mean, if we're tying up nice little bows on all these character story arcs, like Lyanna died fighting, Jorah died defending Khaleesi, Theon died defending Bran, Ed died in battle, the Red Woman died after she killed the Night King, Barrack defends the defenseless, and he died defending Arya. Like, dude, we still got about 15 other characters that need to go, possibly. Like,
well, a big
you
thing,
can't bow up all these other people. Like, couldn't you have killed off Podrick and Grey Worm and Davos and just fucking pieced them out?
Well,
like, are we gonna have to put a pretty bow on
I think that we're gonna get something like we saw at the end of season 6, where when Cersei just took out like 15 characters at once. I think we're in store for something like that to happen,
or like a Red Wedding
to a whole bunch of these people, and then just like it's done. But the show has suffered from its own success in a way too. Like, if Lyanna Mormont isn't a popular character with people, like she doesn't even get time in this episode. But now, because she is popular, they have to dedicate 5 minutes to her because people need to see how she ends up. When they were originally, she's popular enough, or at least she's perceived to be when they brought her in like 2 years ago as a character, there was no idea that she would get like a dedicated 5 minutes in this episode. She was probably never going to be heard from again. But she resonated. She was popular. Now you have to put her into it. Now you have all of these characters because the show has been so successful and popular that people like all these side characters that they need their minute when they probably shouldn't get it.
No, see, that's the commercialness that's fucking it up. Dude, the Red Wedding.
You can't complain about the commercialness of it and then tell me that the people who enjoy this show are like the bod and your mom.
But they've been enjoying it, dude. Ned Stark got his head chopped off in fucking season 1.
It's no different than Stringer. It's no different than Stringer dying in The Wire. Like that's the hook.
Ned Stark's story arc was not complete. Robb's was not complete. His wife's was not complete. Catherine Stark was not complete. All the best deaths in this show. Now, I get it. You got to tie some of them up. But, bro, just straight murk some people when we're not expecting it. I shouldn't have known for a fact and bet. I probably had $700 in bets on this episode alone. And I won every single bet I made with everyone because everyone's like, I'm like, they're just weak now. They're not going to kill off any of the main 12 because they need them for their fucking bullshit the next 3 episodes. Like, I hope it changes. I hope you're right. When Podrick is surviving, there's a problem, right?
I like Pod.
Murder that motherfucker. Fuck him. Murder him and his big dick. All right, I'm going to give you some names, and you tell me where you think they go. So let's talk about the direwolf first. What do you think the direwolf lives? Coming to play?
Direwolf lives, or it saves Jon and dies.
You think that there's any chance that Arya or Jon could die and go into the direwolf, which was one of the original fan theories from like 8 years ago?
Maybe, because Arya's direwolf is still out there too that she ran into last season.
Or Bran can wogue into one of them and get legs.
Nah. He's just big on ravens and just kind of flying around.
He just wants to fly.
That's his whole
thing.
Davos goes down for sure.
Mm.
He goes out he goes out in a hero's fashion, saving. It doesn't necessarily need to be Jon. He saves someone.
Okay, all right. I could see him making it. I could see him because I have a.
Well, it depends on it depends on how you think this wraps up.
Let's do that first. So I have
here's the big thing. Do they even have an army to fight Cersei anymore?
They still got 2 dragons.
They have 2 dragons and like 20 people. All the main characters and 2 dragons. That's it.
There should be no one else, realistically. Anyone who isn't the fucking 15 main people should have been dead in that fucking war. But so we should give our kind of theory, right? I've already said that I think Sansa ends up. I think the throne could still get burnt. I think the whole fucking King's Landing could get burnt. But I think Sansa ends up being the leader, if not the ruler. However, everyone's talking about no king, democracy, right? Type thing. So I could see Arya being
that's how you'd want it, Mr. Millennial, isn't it? You just have some sort of socialist government at the end. Give everything back to they'll dismantle the Red Keep brick by brick and give 1 brick to everyone.
Bernie Sanders ends up winning the throne.
I think
that's not how I want it, but I think these writers are going to do that because I think they're after the fucking left millennial on this arc that they personally are on. A happy ending with like 8 characters left. So when you hear my assessment, I think there's going to be 8 characters left. I think there's going to be a lot of, wait a minute, why are these people still alive? And I think it's going to be definitely a woman in power, and it's got to be really Sansa, in my opinion.
I
what
think
is your prediction?
I think it's just going to be Jon. On like he's the hero, like you said, he's the hero of the story. And the sneaky thing about fantasy novels and fantasy books, they end with the happy ending and the hero winning. That's how they end. All of them. That's how they all end. So Dany goes crazy. They have to get Cersei. Jaime will kill Cersei or Arya under Jaime's face because he ends up turning on everyone. Tyrion might turn on them too, but Dany ends up going crazy. Jon has to kill Dany, and then Jon wins. He might die. He might die, and Sansa ends up he might die at the very last second. And Sansa ends up in power. But I think that there's something that was brewing with the Sansa Tyrion stuff from this episode. They could team up here.
That was interesting. That was interesting. It might have just been a bow that they put on because Tyrion's about to go and he needed to make right with Sansa or something. So yeah, that's how I see it. I think it's going to be a fucking little bitch ass ending. I want everyone dead. I want the Night King on the throne. So that's what I wanted. So
I mean, that's exactly what Cust predicted. So Andercurse to begin with.
I didn't bet on it because I knew it wasn't going to happen, because I keep in mind, all my theories are based on what's going to happen, not what I want to happen, right? I'm a gambler. So I am betting on these writers being pussies. So therefore, everything I want is not going to happen. Whereas Cust just lives in his own bubble where everything he wants should happen, you know, and he doesn't think about the other sides of it. But what about Brienne? How do you think she ends?
I think Brienne. I think she goes down eventually, probably protecting Sansa, unless we get like a heel turn from Sansa. I think that most of these people end up living. Like Hound's gonna fight his brother. He'll kill him, then he'll die. He might end up like saving Arya once again, and that'll be the end of him. Varys is definitely gonna die. Just like anyone who's not like essential, like Cersei's gonna die, Jaime's gonna die, Dany's.
Let's go through them. Let's give predictions so we could be on record, because everyone else just fucking says this stuff and then it gets buried. We actually can clip audio when it happens. So let's take this opportunity.
Okay, go.
Brienne dies how? Make your prediction.
Brienne dies in some that's. Jaime ends up getting murked by Arya because Jaime ends up somehow killing Brienne because she's going to kill Cersei, and he has like a change of heart last second and gets Brienne.
Okay. I think Jaime dies. I think Brienne,
does he die?
he dies in Brienne's arm.
Does Jaime die a good guy or a bad guy?
Good guy. I think he dies a glorious guy, because remember back in the day when they were talking when Joffrey was looking at the book? I
think this is the perfect. I think you want to talk about like swerve.
Would be a great heel turn.
We've built him back up to be this great guy who everyone loves over 8 seasons, and then on last second he just flips back because he can't get over Cersei.
No, I think they could die at the same
his baby.
Time. I think they could die at the same time. They came into the world together. They could leave the world together. That would be an interesting little thing. But I get stuck on that point when Joffrey was looking at the book of all the greatest lords and all that. And he turned to Jaime. Remember that epic scene where he was like, "How come your name's not in here?" He's like, "Oh, you haven't done anything." And Jaime's like, "Well, my story's not done yet." He's like, "Oh yeah, a 40-year-old man with one hand is going to now find his way into the book." Right. So I think that's been Jaime's mission. Like even when he's done good shit, it ends up being bad. Like Kingslayer, even though it was the right move to kill the Mad King, it was just, he's still the Kingslayer. And he's just always getting the shit end of the stick. And he's really a good dude. So I think he has his moment where he goes down in history as a great and does something really good.
I think that's where the Bran thing might be going, by the way.
What's that?
Like, we haven't seen the Mad King stuff or any of that stuff. That I feel like that's where Bran's path is, to kind of fill in the pieces of the stuff that we don't know. Like, did he make the Mad King mad? And how does that affect Jaime? And crazy stuff like that.
Kind of like what he did to Hodor, how he went back in time and fucked Hodor up. You think he might have gone back and fucked the Mad King up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty dope if they did that. So you think it would end with like the beginning?
Maybe.
You think it would end with him like falling from the fucking thing? Like,
I don't know if it. I don't know if it ends up that way. Because
would he want to kill himself?
No, I don't. Let's say I don't know. That's the whole thing.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Podrick
lives.
You think he makes it through to the end?
I do. Because he's like team.
I will stab myself.
He's
if that motherfucker makes it through to the end, I'm stabbing.
Well, we have the whole Bronn angle of this too. Like Podrick could, because him and Bronn are friends, him and Tyrion are friends, him and Jaime and Brienne, they're all friends. Like Bronn factors back into this too, because he's out to kill Jaime and Tyrion. That does he swerve? Does Podrick save himself? Like I don't know. He could play a big part in this.
I mean, if Bronn makes it through the end, it's fucking that's done. You see, Podrick, I mean, if he makes it to the end, it's fucking ridiculous. He's a worthless character. Grey Worm. This is an interesting one because he keeps changing, right? Like he's evolving into from a warrior to a human, right? Like he has emotions now. He wants to live with Missandei, who, by the way, how fucking hot is she? Everyone always talks about
The
fucking
best.
Danny and
Missandei
is
she's
so
by far the best.
much hotter than anyone that's ever been on this show. Sans maybe John's wife, Rob's wife. Rob's wife was up there with me too.
Oh,
Who died
you're
when
a
she
big
was
fan of
pregnant.
Rob's wife.
Yeah,
she was
Rob's
good.
wife.
She's
MLB
no
models,
Missandei.
right? Missandei is the baddest bitch on the show.
They both go out. Missandei dies, then Grey Worm like freaks out like Red Viper style, and then ends up getting got.
Okay, so I don't think so.
I don't think
I think
Tormund
they live
dies.
happily ever
I think Tormund's good to go.
It's a tough call. I don't want him to die ever.
No
He's
one
the
does.
best. Yeah, he's the best. So
I mean, if
I think he dies.
without this, all he has is what, like the Hotels.com commercials? Like he needs these paychecks.
I mean, it's also arguable though that like, you know, he was getting fucked on the other side of the wall, right? And they were all about like your king should earn their power, right? So he was all for like backing Jon Snow and Jon's my guy type thing. So I could see him making it. I don't think he does. I'm gonna put on record, no, he doesn't survive. But I could see it. Let's
Hound
see who
dead.
else we got here. Hound and Mountain. So it's our Hound and Mountain prediction. How's that fight go?
Yeah, something happens and either Arya saves him from the mountain and kills the mountain, or Arya injects herself somehow. The Hound kills the mountain, then he dies.
There's one way this ends. 100% has to be Mountain death by fire. Has to be something with the Hound getting his full circle arc, bringing back to killing the mountain with fire.
Yes.
Like, so he throws him into a pit of fire, or he lights him on fire, but it's got to be, they keep going back to the Hound and fire. Has to be something with him flipping the fire on the mountain and killing him. So that's my prediction there. Arya, a lot of people very torn on, like Arya has everything from people thought she was going to die last episode to people think she ends up on the throne and everything in between.
I think she lives.
She's got her, right?
Just straight up live. Her and Gendry both live.
Do you think Gendry lives? That would suck if Gendry lives.
I
think Gendry.
I like Gendry.
He's kind of fucking Podrick-y. He's kind of fucking like, come on.
They gave them different
what's your
haircuts.
point,
They
dude?
gave them different haircuts this year, so you could tell them apart.
Yeah, thank God. Well, what's his point? What's Gendry's point? What is his king's blood was the fucking point. Like, he's not king. He's not going to be king. Fuck do we need him for anymore?
He's sort of like he's like the new Davos. You know, remember at the end of The Wire. You watched The Wire, right? Like how all the kids that they did the season on ended up just becoming like replicas for the people that they were replacing. Like you had Marlo becoming the new Avon. There was the kid who was the new like Bubbles. Like it feels like Gendry's.
You know, I've never seen The Wire, right?
Oh well, that's a mistake.
I watched 4 episodes and turned it off because the acting was too bad, and I hate cop shows.
Wow, yeah, you should really go back and watch the.
I feel like I want to. I feel like I owe it to myself to go do it because all the people who like the same shows I like The Wire. I think I just have a real strong cop show bias that I just fucking
maybe. Anyways, I feel like Gendry just becomes the new Davos.
Nah, he's dead.
I just want Qyburn to live. That's all I want.
You think Arya's pregnant?
Yeah, probably. Although we keep projecting this onto everyone. Everyone thought that Sansa was going to be pregnant with Ramsay's baby, and she wasn't. So maybe she's not.
Maybe she's not. They show Arya making out again in the next fucking preview too.
That's what she loves. She loves making out.
I think
now she got a taste. She's all about it.
Yeah, she's fucking hornball now. I think Gendry's dead ass. Varys
dead
has to die.
Yeah,
right?
they said he was going to die. Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. So how do you think he goes?
Dragonfire.
Got to be by betraying Dany, right?
I don't know if he betrays
him and Dany have this weird.
It feels like
he doesn't want her there, man.
It feels like he's going to end up siding with her, and she ends up being on the bad side. Like Jon or Sansa has to kill him or something, or Tyrion has to kill him finally.
I don't know. But Varys wants Jon Snow in there. If you go back and watch what you've seen, but to the listeners, Varys talks a lot about how he wants a fair leader and a leader who's deserved and a leader from a good name and blah, blah, blah. And he constantly compares Dany to the Mad King. Tyrion, every episode has got to explain to him that she's not the Mad King, but he's right. So I think he gets fucked in that situation. Bran, what do you think eventually, like hard opinion on what happened to him?
Bran dies, and somehow like he bequeathed a lot of knowledge to Tyrion I think that was one of the underrated parts of the episode 2 was just we didn't see him explaining it to him, but Tyrion kind of pulls up a chair and listens to his entire story. Like, Sam becomes the three-eyed raven, not in the sense that like he can warg into things or anything like that. Bran goes down, but he said that the point of the three-eyed raven is like to preserve history, and that's kind of like what Sam's role is. That Sam writes the story for it, kind of thing. After Bran,
Sam
dies.
or Bran, one of those two has to live, if not both.
Yeah, but Sam will live, Bran will
Right.
die.
Yeah, I think they both live. Cersei dies at the hands of Jamie.
I hope
think we
she
both
lives.
have that
I
with-
hope. I
with her.
really hope she wins. But that's
Wouldn't
not
it
gonna
be
happen.
a great heel turn if she ends up on a throne at the end?
That would be amazing. Her and Jamie and Tyrion. It turned out they were in on it all along.
It would be really. That would be incredible. Like the internet would lose their minds, and I'd love every second of it. The big one here, similar to Arya, how people don't know, Tyrion's another one who everyone doesn't know. I think his character is absolutely falling apart.
It feels
not
like
only
it
is
feels
he
like he's getting it back a little bit.
I don't know. I think here's what I think they did. I think they did the same thing with Littlefinger, who I still don't believe is 100%.
I think he's gone now.
But-
I think we can probably say he's gone.
He probably is, but a creative writer would have brought him back. So so I think what they did with Tyrion is they had his fall from grace, right? He's been called stupid by everyone. The biggest thing for me that I think everyone glossed over, I haven't heard one person talk about it, was when Tyrion's talking to Jamie about how he's going to die. And he's saying the line that he always says, "I wish I would die in my sleep with my cock." And Jamie finishes the sentence for him. And Tyrion just looks kind of dejected, where it's almost like, not only do I not have my intelligence that anyone respects, I don't even have my wit anymore. Like he's got nothing. And then this episode, they tried to build him back up just enough to get us to go, oh, Tyrion, maybe he's not dead. Like they did with Littlefinger for a minute there. And then all of a sudden, he's going to turn and he's going to get killed. And I think Jon's going to have to kill him. He's going to turn on Dany.
I think he's going to turn on Dany, but I think it's going to be decided with Jon.
Yes, that's very possible.
And then
But
he ends
do
up
you
and
think-
then he ends up on the winning side.
Do you think Jon has to kill him, or do you think he makes it?
I think he makes it. I think him and Jon end up like together.
I think he's killed. I think he's dead. I think Jon has to make a decision between Tyrion and Dany. I think it comes down to that, and Jon sides with the mother of his child, his sister or cousin or aunt, whatever the fuck she is to him.
Well, we don't
And
even know
he
if
ends
we
up
don't know
having-
if she's pregnant or not.
She's preggers.
Well, she's
She's
going to be
pregnant.
dead
No, she
by the end of the
She
season.
better be. She better be. I got a $500 bet on it. Do you think she dies?
Yes, absolutely. I think she's the bad guy.
After childbirth, during childbirth, before childbirth?
I don't,
Is
thi-
she pregnant?
I don't think I don't think she's pregnant, and I don't think it gets to like her having a kid. If she is, and she goes down, they have to kill the dragons. They have to kill her because she's crazy.
She's the one I have no fucking idea about.
No,
I have
she's
no
a real
idea.
wild card in all of this. Maybe it turns out she's the most benevolent of them all, and that's how it ends. That she's the one who does
She has-
actually save everyone.
She has every side. But see, here's the thing with Jon surviving. So you think Jon survives? You
Yeah.
think Jon wins everything?
I do.
Okay. So here's the risk with Jon. Everyone who's ever fucked Dany is dead. like, think about it. Like Drogo,
No, that's
The
not.
warrior-
That's not true. That other dude is still running like Marine.
who is that guy still alive? Dario, the Fabio guy.
Yeah,
is that him?
he's the governor. He was left in charge when she left.
All right. Well, he got fucking shit on it.
So he might pop. Well, Jorah never fucked her either.
I'm saying everyone has been in love with Dany.
But Dario might pop up as a part of Cersei's army, by the way,
that would be dope.
because that's
Yeah,
that's
and
like half of like what he was like a mercenary.
Yeah, like if you fall in love with Dany, you're basically as good as dead. The black guy from Karth, the Sons of the Harpy guy. Remember, he was like married to Dany for a minute and saved her.
Yeah, he was.
You have Drogo, Jorah, now Jon. So I don't know. I think Jon lives. So I'm going to say that Jon lives, Dany lives, Davos, I don't know. Grey Worm lives, Brienne lives, Bran lives, Arya lives, Sansa lives, all the Starks live, Sam lives. So I'm going all the Starks, Sansa, all the Starks, Sam, Dany, Grey Worm, and maybe even a couple others. I think there's a whole fucking slew of people that live.
Yeah, I
'Cause these
think
guys
I think it's shaping up that way too, as we've just run through.
Wouldn't you be pissed off though if that happened?
I don't know. I want to see how it plays out. I mean, I'm sure there's a way where they write it and it turns out that like, oh, okay, I can see how these people live. It's probably not optimal, but I'm just gonna watch it and see.
You don't want them to live, right?
I mean, I don't know.
How would you end the show?
Oh, I don't
How
know.
would Pat Mayo end the show?
That's why I find it hard to be too critical because I actually have no idea. I don't know how. I don't even know how I want it to end. That's why it's playing out in front of me. That it's kind of weird.
What do you think of the next 3 episodes, 4, 5, and 6? Which will be the best one? Which will be the worst one? What are you most excited about?
I think episode 5 is going to be the best. The penultimate episodes always tend to be the best ones.
Right. So the one right from before the last.
And that's the one where all the shit always goes down. And then like the last episode is sort of like wrapping everything up. Yeah. And it's, the last ones are usually the worst episodes.
All right, Pat, let's start with a couple Twitter questions. James wants to know, what the hell was Bran doing wogging into the warging? Is it warging or wogging?
I think it's warging.
Warging? What was he warging into the Raven for? So we already talked about how we didn't know, but do you have a guess?
Magic? I have no fucking idea.
Another question. Do you think they should have gone deeper into letting us know the background of the Night King like I think they did in the books?
No, I actually don't think. I don't even think the Night King as a character has even been introduced in the books. Like it's just like there's like rumblings about someone like that, but he's never like been seen.
Okay, so they might have got more into it in the shows. You're saying?
Yeah, like I as little as I could know about him as possible is kind of the best move, I think.
Okay, and the prequel is supposed to be about that, right? Like how the Night King, isn't the one with Naomi Watts or whatever supposed to be a whole story about like thousands of years ago with the children of the forest and the Night King? Isn't that what the prequel is?
I don't think they have decided what. I mean, I don't think they've released what the prequel is actually about. Like it could be like Robert's Rebellion or something like that. I have no idea.
Okay,
I'm sure Google can clear that up for me.
Talk about this is from Dilo. Talk about Theon's story arc and how truly important it was. Arya has trained her whole life for these moments. Lyanna Mormont being the second baddest bitch under 20 in Winterfell. So how important do you? I think we both agreed that Theon's arc was kind of like fine, but
yeah, I mean, he seemed somewhat irredeemable to tell you the truth. And then he was just kind of pathetic. Like you mentioned, like I wouldn't, unless the part of the plan was put Bran to be guarded by the most pathetic person possible to really dry out the Night King. Like that part really didn't make a bunch of sense.
Right.
Like, did you have the feel? Like, I thought that Theon,
I hated it.
I could have seen him. I actually liked him the last episode when him and Sansa got back together. I thought that was nice, but that's really his only like redeeming moment in the past like 8 seasons.
I get frustrated when they take secondary characters after 8 years and try and make them too important and change their whole narrative in like 5 minutes. Like that kind of bothers me. Like, let there be bad people. Yeah. Like let him just like fuck up and he never gets to redeem himself. Like that's what I was saying before with the story arcs. Like I'm really hoping that some of these people don't get their fucking perfect storybook ending, like Catherine Stark didn't, and some of the others. Do you think there's any chance? This is from Twitter. Do you think there's any chance that the army of the dead are not actually dead due to the fact that they always say the dead do not die or something like that? What's the line?
Potentially, or that one of the characters that we know right now, maybe Jon, ends up becoming the Night King, or Bran is actually the Night King.
Yeah. I get this. We talked about it. Human gets stabbed dozens of times with a sword and not die immediately. I mean, that one.
That's TV show.
That's magic.
It's
just
a TV
plot
show.
Armor.
It's I keep saying I cannot stress this enough. This show is not a documentary. It is not real. It is not based off like historical facts. It's a magic TV show.
Right. That is true. Talk about Cersei having green eyes, since brown was Littlefinger and blue was the Night King. I mean,
I feel like that.
Right?
I feel like that goes hand in hand with how we think she goes out with Arya killing her.
Direwolves don't matter? ?
They're the running backs of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, are they? Yeah, are they? Running backs don't matter. I mean, is the direwolf going to play any important part? I think you said earlier in the pod that you think it might actually end up defending Jon in battle.
That seems
like they did spend a lot of time on the direwolves to just start whacking them off one by one nonstop.
It did, but I mean, I've done a lot of kind of research on like the budgeting of the show because stuff like that really fascinates me. And a lot of the direwolf budget, the reason that we don't see them is that they're completely CGI, and all of that money just went into dragon budget. And they were like, "Yeah, well, let's see these direwolves as little as possible. That's where we'll save some money."
Yeah. So just a lot of Twitter complaints about the ending. How the Night King was too much of a pussy. So I think that seems to be the common theme. Could have all been solved with a 5-minute battle, having Jon Snow on the ground, as I said earlier. But all the Twitter questions, I think we covered all the ground, Pat. We did a really good job, I think.
Oh, we went long enough.
Yeah, I think we're good. So you want to just shut this motherfucker down and maybe we'll meet up again in an episode or two?
I think after the finale, we need to maybe a preview to the finale, and
Well,
then after the
definitely.
finale.
No, we're meeting after the finale because me and you have to have our Battle of Winterfell where we battle on whether the writers did a great job and you were right, or if they copped out and got lazy and I was right. So we will definitely have to have our.
I feel like you.
Battle of
I
Winterfell.
feel like you frame me into an argument I didn't make. My argument isn't that the show was going to end up being great.
I'm really good at that.
Yeah, I do it all the time too. It's a really key move. It's how you
That's
win.
why I hate that you notice it.
It's how you win arguments by framing other people.
They're usually my other coworkers and people that I do podcasts usually aren't as smart as me, so I can back them in the corners and then bury them later. But I hate that you saw that.
So all I'm saying is that I just want to see how they if we get tie-ins, like you mentioned the tie-ins from earlier, like, oh, this thing that happened in season 1 happened in season 3, happened in season 6, it tied into last episode. Well, we might get tie-ins from this episode to the next two and have this one make a little bit more sense with how stuff went down. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I just hope that's the case. So that I choose to watch these shows. I choose to have fun with them. I like watching it, and I hope that it turns out well. It seems like people are actively rooting for this to turn out badly.
No, I think it's like an animosity, right? Like it's almost like, let's say you're dating a girl and you had the greatest relationship ever. And one night she just got blackout drunk and ended up flirting with maybe she didn't even hook up with him, but flirting with some guy at a bar and you caught her and she brought you out of your bubble, right? Like you two didn't have your bubble anymore. And it's like the relationship is just never the same. Even though she didn't cheat or do anything wrong, you just don't have the same trust because you think she would have done something wrong if you didn't stop it, right? So you still love her, but you just can't get back to where you were. I feel like a lot of us are feeling like that's what they did by giving us only 2 more seasons and 7 episodes and 6 episodes. And I feel like they just kind of took us a little bit for granted there. And it's kind of fucked up where they put their own budget and other movies and all that kind of shit over really giving us the extension that we needed.
Oh yes, I mean, well, let's kill the people for being.
It's just a little animosity.
Let's kill the people for being selfish and taking more money elsewhere.
Listen, I'm fine with it, but I'm never gonna look at you the same way. You know, if you're my best friend and we work
the situation
together.
that you have just projected, especially this like relationship flirt situation, you're just projecting your insecurities onto that relationship, sir.
Maybe I need to go to a therapist. Maybe
I think so. I mean, and listening to me is probably not going to help because I'm just going to be mean about it.
Maybe that's the plot twist. So I just feel like I have a little animosity towards these motherfuckers.
Yeah, you want it to be good. You're invested. You want it to be good. Now you're worried that it might not be good. Just let it play out and then be pissed if it does.
I want it to be the greatest thing ever.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be the greatest thing.
It's just going to end good, and that's what's going to bother me.
And the thing is, if it ends good, it ends fine. It wraps itself up neatly. There's no real complaints. It'll just be people complaining about how it wasn't the best thing ever. The best thing ever is a pretty high fucking bar, by the way. That's hard to meet.
But something's got to be there. Something's got to be there. There's always something in everything that's the best thing. Think about that. Let that sink in. Pat, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, just watch my show.
Follow him on Twitter. Basically, you're at the PME on every social media, aren't you?
Yeah, when I couldn't get at Pat Mayo, that's like another guy from Wisconsin who works for like ABC. Yeah, he's a fine guy. I've chatted with him in the past.
Have you interacted with him?
Twitter, because he has at Pat Mayo. Yeah.
You tried to buy it from him or get it from him?
I believe he's verified, so that's going to be tough for me because I am not verified, unlike you. Verified.
I can backdoor my way in. How are you not verified and I am? You're way more popular than I am.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I don't know. I never really looked into it, and I don't really care, to tell you the truth. I think it's kind of hilarious that I'm not. Cuss gets really triggered about it because there's like 500 parody Cuss accounts. He's like, if anyone deserves to be verified, it's me. So people know this is really me. It's like no one would even like think about saying. People know it's you. Like there's no bot that's like on that wavelength with you. Okay, so we filmed a show the other day, and he admitted that he sprays a steak with Pam and throws it into a fucking frying pan.
Oh God. By the way, we wanted Cust on here.
He was at work.
Me and Pat both worked to get Cust on here. He just had other responsibilities. We would have had to do this tomorrow, and we wanted to make this timely and get it out as quick as possible. But for those asking, yes, we wanted Cust on here. Maybe we can get him on the one that we wrap up the whole Game of Thrones.
Frankly, I don't want to talk to him about this. Like
I do.
You can have him on without me.
To
you have him on without me. I was texting with him last night, and I was like,
I want him with you.
I can't like an hour of talking to him about this. I couldn't take like 2 minutes of texting with him about this.
We got to get one with Cust. I tried to get the bot on here too because he watches it more casually than us. He couldn't do it because of work. Maybe we do the epic epic final scene, which is me, you, Cust, and the bod all on the same podcast. That would probably be the ultimate.
And then I turn on you, and me and the bod take you both out.
Actually, the plot twist would be if you turned on the bod.
No,
And-
that would never
and
happen.
took him
I'm loyal to the bod. I'm missing my bod lab shows, by the way.
It's coming. It's coming. Dude, there's been a lot going on personally with a couple of the members of my crew. Nothing bad themselves, but some family stuff and just some chaotic stuff. So that's all working itself out now. So I think we're going to do another No Mercy this week with the bod and lab, or with me and Jeff. And whichever one we don't do, we'll do the other one the next week. So we'll be back on track.
Did you do a No Mercy last week? Because I feel like it didn't show up in my iTunes.
Last week, I don't think we did. We did a couple of the special ones with like the NCAA tournament and the PGA, which had you on it and stuff. But last week we actually weren't able to do it due to one of those personal situations that arose.
Okay.
But we'll be back on track this week and going forward. So we'll be probably 1 to 2 a week. It won't be like 3 or 4 like we used to do, because baseball season is so fucking intensive for me, doing shows and videos at Guru and all that.
Imagine doing a podcast about baseball and how quickly I'd kill myself before listening to it.
Dude, I just can't make these sports podcasts anymore. They're just too much fun doing other shit. So
football works perfectly, because football's
easy.
Yeah, football's like, hey, on Monday we'll do this, and then like Wednesday we'll talk about this, then we can mix in whatever.
Everyone likes football.
Yeah.
But baseball, it's like, I'm not looking to do a podcast with like 3,000 listeners, because 15,000 people don't care about baseball.
I haven't watched a single second of baseball so far this season. I could not be happier about it.
You're not missing much. This season's been really weird.
I feel like every season sucks. Every season's the same for baseball.
It is. It's boring. I mean, it's a boring season. My whole Yankee team is on the fucking DL. I got literally no players left, and we're still winning somehow. So make sense of that shit.
They called up Vlad Guerrero around here, so people were like fired up for one day.
Oh yeah, that'll last for 2 days.
Yeah, it did.
He'll hit his first home run, and then no one will care again.
Yeah.
Anyway, for Pat Mayo, I am Tommy G. Make sure to go check out the Pat Mayo Experience. 5 stars, subscribe, review, guys. Do this stuff for us. We're here pumping out content for you, trying to entertain you. It takes 2 seconds just to go give us a little like and write a review, or a 5-star review, anything along those lines. Anything you can do to help, we appreciate it. And then the No Mercy podcast, at No Mercy Pod on Twitter and on all the social medias. What's your pods? Do you have a separate handle for your pod on Twitter, Pat?
No. It's all at the PME. I control all mediums. Just find it on there.
Fucking whore. Just brings everything to him and makes you go through his personal account. What a whore.
Exactly. I control the means of production. I can't let the people have it. Not like you.
I love it.
Bernie Sanders G.
For Pat Mayo, I am Tommy G. Good luck. Stay cashing, motherfuckers.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!